Shabbat Shalom. So welcome to Temple Shalom, everyone that's here in the sanctuary, everyone that is watching via streaming online. Tonight, as you most likely know, is our HIAS Shabbat. HIAS, and this is, I don't remember, maybe the fourth or fifth year that we have had a HIAS Shabbat. So what is HIAS? HIAS stands for the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. HIAS was established in 1881 to assist Jews who were fleeing pogroms, attacks, in Russia and Eastern Europe. The organization began in a storefront on the Lower East Side of Manhattan when a group of American Jews organized to provide much-needed comfort and aid to thousands of Jews fleeing waves of anti-Semitic riots. Those who fled did so because they were literally being killed in their villages, their towns, just because they were Jews. I wish I could say that had ended in Europe, but it hasn't. And I want to mention at this time those who were at the synagogue yesterday in Michigan. It is a Reform congregation. I do know the rabbi, and in fact, his father was a rabbi in New Jersey, not far from where I was. So as I was saying, this continues. But getting back to the late 1800s, those who fled wanted to find a place where they could live safely and freely as Jews. But at that time, there was not yet a legal concept for people who needed safe refuge outside their homelands. Our country worked on this and had done a fairly good job, but unfortunately that has been ripped at the seams. So yet another area dealing with immigrants and refugees that we need to continue working to correct and change what this administration is doing. So with HIAS in New York City, the once tiny Russian Jewish population grew, and hence the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. Their initial goals were to provide meals and transportation and jobs for the new arrivals in Manhattan. Today, all these years later, HIAS is still up and running. They are around the world to protect refugees who have been forced to flee their homes. For more than 130 years, HIAS has been helping refugees rebuild their lives in safety and with dignity, and they continue to do so today. And I want to be clear, they help people around the world, regardless of race, religion, creed, etc. Tonight we have two guest speakers with us because it is HIAS Refugee Immigrant Shabbat. We have Karina Barrias, the co-founder and executive director of La Casita Center, and we will hear more from her during the service. Our other guest speaker, also in the front row, Dr. Kevin Wisanga, executive director of See Forward Ministries. We'll hear more from him. And we also have seated next to Karina, also from La Casita Center, Dr. Patricia Bautista Cervera. She is the Health Empowerment Coordinator of La Casita, and she's the chair of the Board of Health for the city of Louisville. So at the ONEG, I hope that you will have an opportunity to speak with them and to be clear, while we're happy that the doctor is with us. She will not be one of our speakers tonight. She's here with Karina. Tonight, Elliot Eccles will be leading us in music. Travis is streaming. And our Bima guest is Andrea Coven, the co-president-elect of our Board of Trustees. So welcome to all who are here, all who are online. Let us continue on page 10 with the singing of Hine Matov, how good and wonderful it is to come together and for brothers and sisters to dwell together.
Hine Matov u'manahim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manahim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov, Hine Matov. La 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 la. Hine Matov, Hine Matov. La 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 la. Hine matov u'manahim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manahim shevet achim gam yachad.
Just a couple housekeeping. If you did not grab a copy of the song sheet on the way in, please do. It will be our concluding song. Also, tonight will be a bit of an abridged service, so we have time for our Q&A session. So if you're new worshiping with us, please know that we are intentionally leaving out some of our prayers and blessings. And also our Tikkun Olam Committee, 3 members of our Tikkun Olam Committee will be reading and participating in tonight's service, and Mark Smith and Lee Chotner are the co-chairs of this committee. At this time, it's my pleasure to invite Andrea to come to the podium to light our Shabbat candles. We continue on page 3.
So may our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We continue on page 8. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. We pray that peace will come speedily in our time. We are going to continue on page 28. As we open the ark, I invite you to rise physically, if able, or in spirit for the Baruch Hu, and then I invite you to remain standing after we close the ark.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
We continue on page 30. Let's join together in English with the Ma'ariv, Aravim, our blessing that recognizes God's role in the ongoing work of creation. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzivaot is your name, ever-living God. May you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, HaMa'ariv Aravim. And while we're standing, let us continue on page 34 with Shema Yisrael, the watchword of our faith, affirming there is one God in heaven and on earth.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated as we continue on page 36 and join together in the chanting of Ve'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'vetecha uvelechtecha v'derech uveshochbecha uvekumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
It's my pleasure to invite Nancy Rennick to the bima.
I have a reading. It's a testimony from Tayana Gibson Brown to ranking members of Congress. And please keep in mind, she was a U.S. citizen when she went through this experience. The second I woke up, I could tell how terrified my husband was. This fear intensified when the constant banging at the door woke our 9-year-old daughter. And from there, the fear only intensified. Garrison went to the door and asked the officers through the closed door about why they were at our home. He asked them if they had a warrant from a judge. The officers at the door told Garrison they did have a warrant, and it was signed by a judge. When Garrison asked to see the warrant, the officer simply ignored his request. We knew our rights. We knew no one could just barge into our home without a warrant because this space was ours. But the officers hit the door 3 times until the door popped open. My stomach fell. I heard the door pop and I realized we were no longer protected. The officers stood at the door and they were pointing their guns at us. 10 officers that were all armed were standing in front of me and my family. Words can never be sufficient for me to portray what sorts of horror we felt in this moment.
Unfortunately, the testimony that Nancy just read is not an isolated incident. We, Jews, were strangers in a strange land. And in a few weeks, we will begin Passover, the festival which recalls our slavery and our freedom, our exodus from Egypt. We are commanded in our Torah to welcome the stranger because we were strangers in the land of Egypt. This commandment is the one we find the most in the Torah. It's hard to believe that in 2026, after 250 years of this country being here, that we have citizens who are being ripped from their homes, people being detained, and worse, flown to places unknown. Tonight, we are very mindful and cognizant of immigrants, refugees, asylum seekers who have sought freedom, the freedom that we ourselves, our ancestors, wanted. And so each of us must do all that we can to ensure as best as we can that those who were not born here but who are here live with dignity, without fear and with the rights that our Constitution affords them. So as we keep in mind our redemption from slavery and commit to work for the freedom of others, we will join together on page 40 with Mi Chamocha, words spoken by the Israelites after they crossed the Sea of Reeds into freedom in the desert.
Ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נאטה בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, פוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה.
I now invite Mark Smith to the bima.
Es mi privilegio leer la siguiente declaración. It's my privilege to read the next testimony, the following testimony, by George Rett, U.S. citizen and Iraq combat veteran, during his testimony to ranking members of Congress. This is his testimony. On July 10th, 2025, I was confronted by ICE agents on my way to work. I was driving to my job as a security guard at a licensed farm in Camarillo, California. Federal immigration agents were lined across the road leading to the farm. I identified myself as a U.S. citizen and a veteran, but that didn't matter. Agents smashed my window, sprayed tear gas and pepper spray into my car, and dragged me out. I was choking on gas, unable to breathe, while officers shouted conflicting commands. Even after I complied, they pinned me down, one kneeling on my back and another kneeling on my neck, while my hands were already behind me. I was first taken to a Navy base where agents collected my DNA. After that, I was taken to a detention center and held for 3 days without charges. No phone call, no lawyer, no medical care, even though my skin burned from the chemicals. I wasn't allowed to shower. On Friday morning, they placed me on suicide watch. Suicide watch is a yellow concrete room with a concrete bed and a thin mattress. The lights stay on 24/7. You're stripped naked and put in a hospital gown. A guard watches you constantly. I remained in those conditions from Friday morning until the moment I was released. My family had no idea where I was.
We need a moment to digest that. That testimony was from someone who had the opportunity to make it to a congressional hearing, but how many others experienced the same or worse and never had the opportunity to seek justice, to have someone listen to what happened to them. On page 44, we find Vishamru, reminding us that Shabbat is a symbol of the covenant between God and us. Reminds us that God made the heavens and the earth and all that are in it in 6 days, and that God, and therefore we, can rest on the seventh day, which is Shabbat.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את שבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
I invite Lee Chotner. Okay, there's been a change. I invite Barry Kornstein to the bima.
On December 10th, 2025, I was at work. When I looked out the window, I saw what I assumed were ICE agents on the street. I did not want to be confronted by ICE, so I waited 20 or 30 minutes before taking my lunch break. As I exited the building, I paused to speak with someone on the street about what had happened earlier. That was when I noticed an unmarked tan SUV approaching us. A man wearing a ski mask and a police-style vest exited the vehicle and quickly walked toward me. The man did not say stop and did not identify himself. I turned to walk away, hoping he would leave me alone. The man quickened his pace, grabbed me forcefully, pushed me into a restaurant, and asked, "Why are you running from me?" I was not running. I was just walking away because I did not want to talk to him. I knew that ICE agents had been targeting people that looked like me. I immediately started repeating over and over again, "I'm a citizen, I'm a citizen," but the agent did not stop to look at my ID. A second ICE agent entered the restaurant. Together, they dragged me outside and put me into a headlock on the ground. I repeated, "I'm a citizen, I have an ID." The agent kept saying, that don't matter, that don't matter." They put me in the back of an SUV. It was Mubashir Khalif Hussein, 20-year-old Somali-born U.S. citizen in Minnesota, who was assaulted December 10, 2025. We've heard from three vignettes, if you can call them that, about they were all U.S. citizens, but that is really immaterial because our laws, every law of the United States applies to every single person who sets foot on any U.S. territory.
Our world feels like it's on fire. There are literally, at least there were, they might still be, I'm not sure, fires burning from oil tankers in the Middle East. Bombs are flying, rockets, missiles are flying in multiple parts of this world. People around the globe do not feel safe. They do not have a sense of shalom, of peace, either physically and or internally, emotionally. We will continue to work for peace. We will continue to believe that peace can come, and we understand that it must be because of our actions. We can't just sit and hope for it. We have to work for it. Our prayer for peace, Shalom Rav, can be found on page 60.
Shalom Rav, Yal Israel Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yal Israel Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav, Yal Israel Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yal Israel Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol et uv'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav, Yal Israel Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yal Israel Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
At this time, we call to mind our loved ones who are in need of prayers of healing, healing of body, mind, spirit. Tonight, our prayers are with Sherry Davies, Leah Dolman, Malia Willis, Judy Yesowich, Lev Dickerman, Carla Dunbar, John Lermit, Nash Zaid, Rich Goldwyn, Jim Todd, Madeline Scarborough, Sharon Pratt, Steve Duval, Susan Charlton, Austin Naamani, Carrie Kaplan, Shara Rasachan, the U.S., Israeli, and other military of our allies that are fighting to bring about peace. Our prayers are also with those who were involved with the terrorist attacks yesterday at the synagogue, at the university, and with all immigrants, refugees, and asylum seekers in this country who are not safe, and those wherever they may be around the world who are in pursuit of safety. Our prayers are with them, that they should be safe and find a safe refuge. At this time, I invite you to say aloud the names of your loved ones, whether you're a member of our congregation or a guest, if you would like us to keep them in our prayers at this time. We ask that God bring healing to our loved ones, and may we continue to do what we can to be a source of comfort to our loved ones during their time of need. As we join together in our prayer for healing, which can be found in the middle of page 253.
Sheberach avotenu mekor habracha laimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We continue now silently with our own prayers and meditations.
Say Shalom bimromav, Hu HIAS Shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu v'al וכל ישראל יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו והכל ישראל. 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 עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. ואמרו, אמרו אמן.
It's now my pleasure to invite Lee Chotner to the Bima to introduce our guest speakers, and then you will be invited to come on up.
And it is my honor and pleasure to introduce both these people who you will see have given so much to the Louisville community, and we are very fortunate to have them here. First, Reverend Kevin Uisenga. Reverend Uisenga was born in Rwanda, East Africa, where he grew up in a family of 6. His childhood was forever changed by the 1994 genocide in his country, which claimed the lives of his mother, friends, and extended family. Afterwards, he found himself in a local orphanage, but that was just the start of his remarkable journey. Out of that tragedy, of that genocide, came resilience, faith, and a calling to serve others. With the support of his uncle and other mentors, Reverend Uisenga came to Kentucky, where he graduated from Lindsey Wilson University, earning a bachelor's in business administration with a minor in Christian ministry and master's in leadership. After graduation, Reverend Uisenga became a director of outreach for a local Methodist church before founding See Forward Ministries in 2017. Fluent in 5 languages, apologies, Reverend, Kinyarwanda, okay, Swahili, French, Kirundi, and English. His work at See Forward bridges cultures and builds trust, helping families navigating housing, healthcare, employment, and resettlement challenges. In addition to his work at See Forward, Reverend Uisenga serves on the Mayor's Advisory Council, sits on the Kentuckiana Works Board, and is a 2022 graduate of Leadership of Louisville and a 2023 Bingham Fellow. Reverend Uisenga, welcome to Temple Shalom, and would you please come up? A native of Guatemala, Karina Barillas is a Fulbright scholar who received her Master of Education degree in counseling in 2002 and her Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Studies in 1996, both from the University of Louisville, where she also served as president of the International Students Organization. Barillas previously worked for the Center for Women and Families, counseling Latina women victimized by domestic violence, sexual assault, and trafficking. She co-hosted the first TV show in Kentuckiana in Spanish, Amigos in Louisville. Barillas is a co-founder and executive director of the La Casita Center, a Latinx feminist-led nonprofit born from a vision and a commitment to accompaniment, empowerment, and advocacy. That vision has made La Casita a respected place of safety, cultural celebration, inclusivity, and belonging for families facing extreme poverty, food insecurity, and the lack of resources. Her tireless work to affirm that every member of our community is worthy of opportunity has been honored by numerous local and national organizations. I'll just mention two. In 2022, she became the first Latina to receive the City of Louisville's Keepers of the Dream Freedom Award. And U.S. Representative Morgan McGarvey has honored her with a Congressional Leadership Award. Karina Bruyas, welcome to Temple Shalom, and please join us on the demo.
Thank you, Lee, for those introductions, and again, thanks to Lee and Mark in particular for helping to make tonight's program possible with our guests. So again, welcome to Temple Shalom, and I just want to begin by giving each of you an opportunity to say a few words about the mission of your organizations and the services that you offer for those who might not be as familiar as you are. Would you like to start, Karina?
Buenas tardes. So, Shabbat Shalom. What an honor to be here with you all this afternoon. La Casita Center is a Latinx-led, feminist-led in the state of Kentucky. We are the largest of its kind. And when people ask us, what does La Casita do? We usually tell them, you name it, we do it, and if we don't do it, we make it up. But aside of saying like that, you know, the foundation of La Casita is accompanying Latina women that were surviving domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. And we didn't know back then, more than 20-something years ago, that became the beginnings of the work that we do right now. From mental health services, legal clinic, advocacy, health empowerment. We have here the amazing Dr. Patricia Bautista Cervera, which I'm one of her fans, the first Latina that is the chair of the Board of Health. And through her work and her advocacy, we were able to be the face of the pandemic when our community to this day has the highest number of deaths by COVID in the city of Louisville. So our work, it doesn't end. We continue accompanying families that are surviving or are facing violence. We, at this moment, are, you know, in this very painful and very hard to explain, but I know that I am with beloved community that understands what it means to be persecuted, that you understand what it means not to belong. You understand what it means to be racially profiled. So that's what we are facing right now. And because our community doesn't have any kind of wealth privilege or color privilege, for us, what we are facing right now has to stay in the darkness for fear for us not to be at more risk of being persecuted or being detained. So if you want to know more information about La Casita, the work that we are doing, the work that we're leading, how we are accompanying other organizations as well for them to achieve safety, but as well as to learn the best practices that we have accomplished for so many years, please, at the end, Doctora and myself, we're going to be ready to ask your questions and see possibilities of accompanying each other.
Thank you. Dr. Reverend Kevin?
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is great to be with you this evening, and thank you for the opportunity to share what we have, what we are learning, what's going on in our communities, and thank you for your willingness to listen and learn this evening. The story of See Forward Ministries, that's SEE Forward Ministries, is a story that's embedded in what I learned quickly right after I had been appointed as a minister back in 2017. I found out that this community had a lot of refugees and immigrants from East Africa, and learned that through serving 1, 2, 3 families, and also learning that the story was spreading out very quick, because what happens is if you touch or support or provide service to one family, they usually share the word out, and all of a sudden people are calling you in the middle of the night, telling you that their wives need to go to the hospital, and then you quickly realize that you cannot do that work by yourself, but associating yourself or finding ways that you can get the support throughout the community. And so that's how the story of See Forward Ministries came to be. I founded it as a way of just recruiting or inviting or seeking help from the community, from the people who could help me help the folks that I was serving from East Africa just live up to their highest potential. That's the vision. These are the people who have lived in a refugee camp for many, many years. Survival lives. All they ask for many years is like, how can I make it to the next day? And so the idea of See Forward Ministries is like, now that you are here, how can you eventually live up to your highest potential? That's the big vision. And we do so through different programs and projects. We have about 5 pillars that we felt like we wanted to accomplish our vision through. We wanted to help these people balance their lives spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, physically, and socially. And so we have a lot of programs and projects that we do, which are specifically designed to help people live up to their highest potential in those areas. Those programs include things like English language training, computer literacy training, financial literacy training, mental well-being programs. We do things like employment services support. We do programs like youth mentoring, just trying to get the youth in our communities mentored, connected to the right mentors. And then elders programs, those who are in their homes or by themselves, they're 65 and above, and they have nobody to talk to turn around to. Those are the programs, some of the programs that we are doing just to try to meet the needs of these communities who are here. So briefly speaking, that's who we are, and that's what we're trying to do in the community. And we're going into details later.
So this is wonderful. The work that both of you do is really important, and I applaud both of you and give you so much credit. Let me ask a simple question about how many people a year or a month, whichever is easier for you to answer, how many people do you serve either a month or each year?
Well, we just review our final annual report for 2025, and we provided around 76,000 services in 2025. In 2024, we provided 68,000. So you can see, how much the need has grown. And last year in 2025, we moved from once a month, Resource Tuesday, where we will have between 150 to 200 families, to now 4 times a week, Resource Days, where sometimes we see up to 75 to 80 families per day.
Wow.
For us, we just also wrapped up our report for 2025, and we've in 2025 we saved about 1,000 people. So that is the number that we found. These are the people who are coming through our doors day to day for the different programs that I mentioned above.
Thank you. Has Louisville been a welcoming place for immigrants? What has been your experience and that of those people you serve? And if you know, how does Louisville compare with other cities that have large number of immigrants?
Louisville in itself is a very complicated place. In one side, you have the Louisvillian hospitality, and where you feel, good morning, how are you? You go in the elevator, and people seem very nice and tell you how's your day going. I love your dress. But you also have this part of the community where you are walking down the street and speaking another language. They say, this is America, go back. We only speak English, and things like that. So I love my Louisville. I'm a very proud Latina Louisvillian, but as a Latina with privilege, because I came to study, I speak English, and I know the law of the land. Even with that, the racism is real. And the community that we accompany, what we see is that they face very direct racism, but also a very racism that you cannot put your finger on it. Like we start with how much people are getting paid. Like someone will earn $25 an hour, but if you are from the immigrant community, you might work more and get $15 an hour, things like that. I know that within the Louisville context, we are safer than other parts of the state. We have a lot of police departments and sheriff departments around the city of Louisville that have already signed something that is called the 287G, where they have a sign for them to be enforcing immigration. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But to answer your question, I think that Louisville in general is hospitable, but also it depends on where you are. It depends on who you are. It depends, the people that surrounds you.
From my perspective, it's a give and take. I'll echo what Karina is talking about. But there is an assessment, a community assessment. Back in 2018, we sent out people, what we call community ambassadors. I have a group of what we call community ambassadors and community navigators. We send them out in the community to go find out exactly about this question. How do you feel about living in Louisville? So we knocked about 517 households of these people that we serve, and I asked many questions. Included in those list of the questions was this particular question: how do you feel about living here? And the data came out, and it said 99% of the folks that we had surveyed, they said that they really loved, at that point, they loved being in Louisville. They appreciated the welcome that they had received in Louisville. In fact, our city is known to be, was known to be a welcoming city for many, many years. And so that was based on what they were finding out. I think this might have something to do with the fact that they were living their lives, going about their lives, going to work and coming back home, nobody bothering you. If you've lived in a refugee camp or in survival mode, in wars, in a genocide, through all that, and all of a sudden you have a roof on the top of your head and a place that you can call finally home. That's what I believe they were expressing and saying, this is finally a place that I can home, that welcomed me. This is a place that America was resettled me in. And so they felt like this is a welcoming city, although that trend shifts back and forth, because we've seen also situations when issues start arising, and then you see a trend of people moving out of the city, going to be in other states. So it's a give and take. There is a lot of pieces that really can drive this. But generally speaking, as somebody who have been also myself here for since 2006, I do believe the spirit in Riverians is a good spirit of really just wanting to welcome people, or at least accept them for who they are. Because we do have other cities and stories that we are hearing that are much worse than that. And so I thank you for giving us a home and allowing us to be here. And yeah, so despite everything else that's happening, we are grateful that we have found a home that we call Louisville, our own home.
I want to ask a follow-up. You said towards the end of your remarks that there are trends and that sometimes people leave. Are there things that are happening here in Louisville that lead them to leave or not feeling welcome? Or are there just things in people's lives that are not related to Louisville that lead them to decide to leave and go elsewhere?
Yes, so this is, I believe Karina can help me out as well. I believe this is tied to what they are experiencing day to day. If you are here and you are struggling to secure a job, a position with a living wage, not necessarily minimum wage, a living wage. Where we come from, families have kids. We have single moms who have 5, 6 kids. And so they're struggling. They're struggling to secure jobs, to secure, by not having employment, which is, I believe, ties to the current policies of the things that we're seeing here. Companies not willing or wanting to hire these people, giving reasons such as language barriers and transportation, childcare, and other issues also can play a role into that. But mainly speaking, that ability, the ability of living here without having a job, knowing that there are no benefits, which have been cut because of the status of some of these people, depending on the status of these people, that makes it really difficult for them to stay here and be able to support their loved ones, their family. Thus, they end up having to move out of the city and go find life somewhere else.
Thank you. Karina, I want to ask you, so while Louisville has not made national news for ICE being here, the ACLU does report that there have been raids, ICE raids here in Louisville. So my question is, how has ICE's presence impacted the lives of your community and the people that you serve? Has it led them to make changes in their lives, like kids not going to school or parents not going to work? Or is it that there are ICE here, but people feel they can still go about their lives as before?
So before I answer that, I would like to ask you, do you have with you today something that proves that you are a U.S. citizen and your driver license doesn't count and the real ID doesn't count? Do you have something like that? Let's imagine, God forbid, that ICE comes through that door. Raise your hand if you think that ICE is going to approach you and is going to ask you if you are a U.S. citizen. And I am raising my hand. Doctor is raising your hand, okay? Kevin is raising your hand. The ones that didn't raise your hand, why didn't you raise your hand?
Because we're white.
Exactly. So what is happening right now doesn't have anything to do with people being criminals or not. It has to do with the way you look, the way you sound, and the way that you are being perceived. So what happens in our community, all the detentions that are happening, is something that it is so difficult to come forward and report, because by the time that we know of it, the person is already in detention. We've had people that are from Puerto Rico, and I know that you are very well-educated people, and you know that Puerto Rico is part of the United States. So we have Puerto Ricans in detention. We had people that look like me, but don't sound like me, in detention, born and raised. We have seen that people are being stopped because when they are driving, they didn't stop for 3 seconds at the stop sign. We are seeing people that are being stopped because they didn't run the red light, but went through the street in a yellow light. We have seen people that perhaps that day they forgot their driver's license, taken to jail. We have seen people that perhaps, something happened with their taillight and they haven't had the money to fix it, taken to jail. So, all of these things that we're learning and that we know are happening are real. From the time where the city announced a 48-hour hold, which meant that if I am stopped because I didn't stop for 3 seconds at the stop sign and I am taken to jail because of that, just by having my name, Karina Varillas, immediately flags the system for ICE to come and detain me, even if I am a US citizen. Because how would you all know if I am documented or no? How do you know? You don't know, right? So it is based on racial profiling, unfortunately. Something else that we are seeing, you saw it on the news a couple of months ago, when one parent taking his 2 babies to school, right here down the street, J-Town. He was driving, ICE stops him, 2 kids in the back, 9 and 5. ICE says, well, you're being detained, and he's like, how am I gonna leave my child in the middle of my 2 children in the middle of the road? So they arrest him. These people with masks, the guy goes inside the car with the 2 kids, crying, yelling in the back, and took them to school, stopped the car there, and told the kids, go back inside your school. Can you imagine the level of trauma on this child? Can you imagine your babies, your grandchildren, that a stranger is driving them after the stranger took you? So those are a little bit of the examples that I can give you today. You don't see it in the news. The minute, because this is not Chicago, this is not California, but the minute that any of us come forward in the news and say, this is what is happening to our community, we get a target on us. If I tell you this, I know you will understand what I'm going to what it means to have received this letter from someone. Someone sent us a letter with a picture of Auschwitz, saying, we are gonna send you there, you are next. Like 3 weeks ago, these people took the time to see where our cameras are at La Casita, and they posted all around the neighborhood, but our cameras couldn't catch them. It was very strategically all around the neighborhood saying, immigrants are criminals. Does this sound familiar to you? They are criminals. They are stealing our jobs. They are rapists. They are this, they are that. So thank goodness our neighbors notice all of this and start taking it away. Just recently, when we went to one of the churches where we are sharing with the community about Know Your Rights, that this is a bilingual community that has people that speak Spanish and people that don't speak Spanish, and someone in the bathrooms wrote something that said, next Sunday I'm gonna come and kill all these Mexicans. So these are the things that are happening in the community. You don't hear about it, we do every day. No one none of us has the ability to go in front of the cameras because immediately that would put us at risk. Just like the temples are being attacked, we could be attacked. So what we have to do is to do prevention work, teach our community what their rights are and what to do in case of detention. Because either Doctora or myself, we are at risk every time. We go to our homes, we cannot stop being Latinas. We go to Kroger, we cannot stop being Latinas. We go and walking down the street, we cannot stop being Latinas. And we are seeing this day in and day out, being detained, not because of other crime than being Latinas or Latinos.
I am so sorry, and I know that all of us here, I know words don't really change things, but just know from our hearts to yours, we're sorry. We're sorry. Reverend, would you like to add anything from your community, what you have experienced?
So, from the community we serve, our equal, the threats and all this, the threats that are happening, anytime you say anything, if you happen to be serving the refugees or immigrants, you automatically become a target by people who wants to call you an illegal alien without knowing, according, just as Karina was just mentioning, who you are and how you came to this country and whether you are a citizen or not. And you just said an illegal alien just by having an accent or by not looking like other people. But how did we come to that? If you think about it, when did we ever become aliens anyways? You know, we are human beings, gone through difficult positions, navigated genocides and wars, and luckily we end up being given a home, which is the history of America. This is what America for many, many years has been known to be about. And so for us, it has added a level of confusion, a level of trauma, another level of really just trying to understand whose fault is this. I never asked to be born, and I really never asked to find myself living here. So many stories of these people that we're serving, just happens to be people who were brought from a refugee camp where they had lived 20, 30 plus years and brought into this country, hopefully to be given another chance. And all of a sudden, this is happening to them, and something that's leading to these members of our community wondering what is life all about, really. Just a couple days ago, one of members of our community heard the story that his mom, who was on track of coming to the United States through family reunification, which has been canceled, passed away. So the mother was still in a refugee camp. Through the process, vetted, everything was really ready. Now she passed, and this person not only didn't get a chance to be reunited with her mother, but also could not take a risk of going to bury her. So these are just the more troubling, very, very challenging issues that we are dealing with, that's leaving our community shaken, that's leaving our community wondering, that's leaving our community lonely and just wondering what's going on with their lives and what's ahead for us. So I just wanted to add that piece on there.
Yeah, clearly the trauma is great and huge, the fear, the uncertainty. We have no words, no words. People will be able to speak with you after, when we have some refreshments, but one of our core Jewish beliefs is that every person is created b'tselem Elohim, in the image of God, and also one of the responsibilities we have is litaken et haolam, to repair the world. And our congregation has been involved in many different types of projects to try to do our part to make society, our communities, a better place. We, the Temple Shalom, have sponsored 2 families that came from KRM, one from Afghanistan, and before that, one from Eritrea. So given that we have a lot of people here who volunteer, my last question for you is, what are there currently roles that volunteers could play in your organizations to help? And so are you looking for more volunteers, and what can they do to be of help?
Well, I think that there are different ways to be in solidarity with the immigrant and refugee communities right now. If you want to be trained by other white people that are in solidarity with us, there is an organization called El Search, Louisville Standing Up for Racial Justice. And this is an organization that we've known since the times of President Bush, when the first raids started in our city. So they accompany us and provide us with the support that we need. In La Casita, as part of who we are, we have different opportunities that we can share with you at the end. But I think that the most important is that when we are sharing these stories to you, that you pass them on. We believe, like you all, that we need to be in solidarity with each other. I cannot say that I am pro-immigrant if I am anti-Semitic, right? So it is like, how are we in solidarity with each other? How are we listening to each other, our stories, and share not charity, but opportunity and investment? With this, even though our number of services have grown, how much food, diapers, and other items are sharing with our community, because people are losing their jobs, people are losing their immigration status, people are losing their green cards, people are losing their TPS. What we're trying to do is to try to accompany them with the resources that they need, but also something that we're doing is that we are grabbing ourselves to joy, because they can take everything away from us, but they cannot take away our joy, our resiliency, our strength. So one of the things that we're going to do on March 28th, we are going to have our annual corn festival. And this is a way of saying our ancestors, 500 and something years ago, were colonized, our women were raped, our resources were stolen, and our ancestors cleaned themselves to the beauty of corn that feeds us on a daily basis. So that is what we've been trying to do since 2015, trying to celebrate. We are more than our struggles. We are more than our pain. So we are still resiliency. So I hope that you can join us on these days. It's going to be from 2 to 5. And I really hope that you can come and celebrate with us that we are still here, that we are alive, and that we are together as a community.
Thank you.
Yes, for us, as far as volunteering, where we think we could use help the most is is helping these folks who are going through the process, wanting to really apply for their citizenship or become United States of America. Most often, they're needing companionship. They need somebody who can help them go through the questions and can lead them through the process and understand really what's going on there. And so if you feel like that's something that you can give your time towards helping somebody, make that extra step towards eventually living up to the highest potential and eventually becoming a U.S. citizen, I'll be happy to connect with you and talk to you, or maybe others can share my contact information with you all, and we can certainly use your help in that way. Other than that, we are neighbors. Our organization is right here on Hacks Lane, 2817. I'm sure some of you pass by this place most often. I'd love to see you there. Stop by there and come see us. We have a blessing room that's usually sometimes needing some people sort out the donations that we get every now and then. So if you happen to have some time and you want to spend a couple, 2-3 hours, just let me know, and you can come over and volunteer. The other things is like we have programs throughout the week. That we need mentors, we need supporters, folks who are there to connect with our people. One of the programs that we just launched this last year is called Bridge Builders. Bridge Builders is a program that takes folks like you and connects them to members of our community, just uniting them. As this time seems to be dark and harsh for so many people, I do believe that there are still really good people, great people in our community who wants to be a part of this great effort that all of us are trying to do, build the community. And this is a story that I've lived. Once I arrived here back in 2006, somebody took me under their wings. They showed me around. They pointed me in the right direction. And that's something that I feel like I'm really wanting to pass along. And I would love to take you and connect you to somebody, connect your family to a refugee family. Let's make those statements. Let's come together. Let's show that despite everything that's still going on, that we can stand up, love each other, support each other, be united, hold on each other. This wind is gonna pass. But this is time for you not to be silent, by expressing what you're willing to do in support of the communities that we serve.
Amen. So I'm going to ask both of you, I'm going to give you my card with my email on it, and whatever information that you have about if there are particular items you need for donations, etc., who's the right person to contact for volunteering. And we have an email blast, and we have some flyers in our lobby, so we can help you further your wonderful and important missions. So we'll be in touch, or you could also be in touch with Lee. I want to say one last thing to all of us that are here. This issue we know is so important, and tomorrow, it's taking place at KI, but we are one of the sponsors, along with JFCS and JCRC. There's going to be a training session led by the organization is called New Americans Initiative, and it's a training session for how we can safely support our immigrant and refugee community, how we can understand our rights. If, God forbid, there's an ICE agent and we're there, what are our rights? And how, in general, we can take meaningful action, meaningful civic action. So that's tomorrow at 12, and lunch will be served. There is no charge. So if you're available and would like to make a difference, tomorrow at 12 at KI. And now I'd like to invite Mark Smith up for a little thank you presentation.
Would you all please join me in thanking our guests today for helping us to understand the situation. For those of you that might not know, today's program was organized by the Tikkun Olam Committee. Tikkun Olam means repair of the world. We believe it's our duty to partner with God to make this world a better place. Many people may think that our highest aspirations are Jews of the Ten Commandments, but as Rabbi points out, the phrase you most find in our services and in the Torah is to treat the stranger with dignity, with justice, because we were strangers in Egypt. Stranger being the immigrant, the refugee, the captive, the prisoner. It's our duty. And we thank you all for coming here today and being our teachers and teaching us these hard things. They may be hard to hear, but we're better educated now, and we have more hope now. So thank you very much for taking the time on a Friday evening after a busy work week. We all know how busy you are now. You've told us that, we know that. And we want to thank you with an honorarium for taking your time to teach us, to your organizations. So please, thank you again.
It's now my pleasure to invite Andrew to come up to offer a few announcements, and then we'll finish services and go next door.
Shabbat Shalom. Let me put these back. I've been having trouble trying to figure out, since I've had the cataract surgery, what I can't read sometimes, but I can see far. So when I put these on, you're all blurry. Okay. So our monthly Torah study session will be held tomorrow at 10:30 at the JCC boardroom. There will be no services here at Temple Shalom. Temple Shalom's second night Passover Seder will take place Thursday, April 2nd at 5:30. It's open to the entire community. There are some flyers in the area as you walk out of the doors. To the left is a flyer, and there'll be one about the Passover Seder. Reservations must be prepaid and submitted by March 20th, and that's a firm date. Okay, so get your reservations in as soon as possible. Holocaust survivor Ruth Klein will be this year's keynote speaker at Jewish Louisville's Yom HaShoah program. It's Monday, April 13th at 6:30 at Adath Jeshurun. She will share her family story about escaping in Shanghai, China during World War II. Okay. For those of you that don't know, we are selling cash books for $20. They have a load of coupons that you can save money on restaurants, and there's even Kroger, $5 off for each month of the year, so that's 12 coupons for Kroger's. They're $20, and you can buy one by contacting Latanya in the Temple Shalom office or Matt Doctorow. Okay, if you have a talent or a passion, we'd like to know about it. Please scan. There's a QR code. Again, there's some of those in the same place you get the pamphlets. And we would love to know what you can do to help us to volunteer at Temple Shalom. I'm sorry, there's a lot today. We're in year 3 of our Kadima campaign, and once again, a generous and anonymous donor has offered to match our first $75,000. We're getting close, but we need your help to reach our goal and unlock that match. Okay. And I appreciate Elliot for leading our music tonight, and Travis for streaming services tonight, and our guests for talking about a very serious topic. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. I also want to once again thank the Tikkun Olam Committee for tonight's services and for sponsoring tonight's Oneg. We are going to continue on page 293. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. If you are here to recite Kaddish for a loved one, you're invited to rise when their name is said aloud. Tonight, we remember Saul Greenberg, Andrew S. Hyman, Marilyn Harriet Camshey, Bob Kaplan Sr., James Michael, Zachary Nedelin, Harry Pollock, Charles Rosenberg, Bernard Steinman, Diane Townsend, M. Jerry Weiss. We're in a period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning for Janet Elker, Trina Postlethwaite, Rabbi Dr. Andrea Weiss. And we mourn the loss of Marvin Fleischman. His funeral will be this Sunday at 1 p.m. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be for a blessing, and may they rest in peace as we rise together as a congregation, reciting the Mourner's Kaddish, page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divarach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayeichon u'v'yomeichon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kari v'yimeru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudasha berichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'yimeru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom b'romav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say together, amen. Please be seated. Our concluding song this evening is This Land is Your Land, words and music by Woody Guthrie.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. I've roamed and rambled and followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. When the sun came shining and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving and the dust clouds rolling, as the fog was lifting, a voice was chanting, this land was made for you and me. In the shadow of the steeple, I saw my people. By the relief office, I seen my people. As they stood there hungry, I stood there asking, is this land made for you and me? This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. This land is my land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me.
And this land was made for you and me. Turn to someone near you, wish them Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Tammy. Thank you. Oh, is that April 2? Yeah. That's what Rabbi told me about. I gotta check if I'm free, but I think so. I might have a rehearsal for orchestra, but like a small orchestra for a graduate student.